It's your one-stop shop. Great wrestling. WrestleCopia.com, where you'll find an armload of great wrestling podcasts. Some are weekly, some are not. All of them are great. Ray Russell brings WrestleCopia to you, including his own show, The Wrestling Memory Grenade. There's Regional Wrestling, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, the Puro Wrestling Academy, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, the Other Shit podcast, the Captain's Corner podcast, and much, much more. Great host, great shows. I guarantee you'll learn something every time you tune in to the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Where do you find all these shows? How about starting it this way? Just log on to WrestleCopia.com. There's nothing else like it anywhere. Welcome back to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. And look at me. For the first time in years, I'm at an independent wrestling show. All the young kids are going to wrestle or something. And I got third row seats, and now, this is so exciting. I see the lights over the ring and everything. And now all I need is a beer and a hot dog. Where's all the vendors? I need a vendor over here. 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 All right, Bub, what do you want? Give me one of them footlongs there and a bottle of, you got Carling Black Label? I never even heard of that. All right, give me whatever you got, as long as it's wet and cold. All right. This is good. My compliments to the chef. All right, that's 1827. What? 1827? For a hot dog and a beer? You gotta be out of your mind. Here, I'll take it back. I'm not paying for that. You gotta pay. I'm not paying. I'm not gonna pay. I'm not paying that much for... Hey, let me go. Let me go. Where you taking me? Oh, I'm in it this time. It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Be gentle with the wooden leg. Well, we're back. Welcome back to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. I am Sore Mouth Smith, your host. I am still recovering from some oral surgery. I think I have many more oral surgeries to come with the problem I'm having. I consider myself lucky as though, so I'm not whining. I'm just hoping that I sound okay. Meanwhile, wait a minute. Now, our co-host has a tendency to put funny names in his studio box because we record electronically. You know, I'm looking at him and there's a name there, and it's Wrecking Ball Legursky. You're a little skinny for that, pal. It's Joe Puccio. Joe, you're a wacky guy. You know that?
You know, now that I'm looking at it on the screen, it's a little early, and I guess I was trying to get in pretty quickly, and it looks like, I have a little typo in there.
He made a typo. It's just like his website. Boom, boom. Hey.
So that speaks to the time. But trying to keep it fresh. But Bob, I'm glad we're doing this here, and glad I know you're still a little under the weather, but I'm glad little by little you're hopefully starting to feel better.
Well, actually, last night I actually ventured into Manhattan for the first time in a while, and it's like I had to do it because I didn't want to waste money I spent on some Broadway tickets. You know what? I think I needed it because it forced me to take long walks and stuff, and I actually feel a little better physically since doing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great.
Just laying around the house for a week, you tend to get a little logy, and your brain stops working, and you slow down. I think it would be alright. It should be even though I have dental appliances in my mouth still, I think that, you know, we should get some more information this week about how bad it is and what our next steps will be. I see probably a minimum of 2 more procedures in the future, given the problem I have. Listen, it's nothing fatal or anything like that, so I'm thankful for the professionals I found to help me out on this, so it's been painful. I don't know what else to say. But anyway, enough of my yakking about my health. Jeez, nobody cares. There's even at home, nobody gives a rat's ass. So, but but I'm just happy to be back here on the air. We're going to talk about anything and everything, including I want to get started with this ESPN WWE fiasco that's going on in social media. Reading people's reaction to this is making me pull my hair up by the roots. It's just people are panicking, and I'm from what I'm reading, for most cable subscribers, they don't have to. Joe, am I right about that, or am I just freaking out?
Yeah, the latest I'm hearing is that even though I think the latest report, there was only about 5 or 6, maybe 4, 5, 6 cable companies that already have the deal where it's going to be automatically included with your subscription package. Obviously, that's still a small number of the amount of cable systems out there. So I know the fans with these other systems are freaking out a little bit. What about me? And is this going to be they're sort of they're tweeting at the different wrestling journalists out there, and I saw a couple of people tweeting at Meltzer saying, "What about Optimum? What about this? What about that?" From what it sounds like, it looks like they're negotiating with everyone. So it really looks like they're going to have a deal with pretty much every cable company out there. To me, it looks like it's really going to be much ado about nothing. It looks like most people are going to get this. Now, of course, there's going to be the people that aren't, people that don't subscribe to cable, maybe that they watch it on a certain streaming platform, whatever it is. So of course you're never going to satisfy everybody. But it is funny, like you said. I mean, since this story broke, it's everything. I mean, people are just, oh, I'm not going to watch WWE again. This is it. This is the last
That
straw.
yeah,
It's like
that's it for me. No more WWE ever. I'm
exactly.
not doing it. Meanwhile, they're paying $50 for AEW pay-per-views.
Right. I mean, we've heard this through the years. I mean, we heard this when they initially launched the WWE network. People were like, "Wait a minute, I got to subscribe to a specific network. I don't want to do that. I like just, ordering it this way." And then what happened? Everybody ordered the network. Why? Because it was what was it? $10, I think, when it
I
first
think
came
it
out.
was, yeah, yeah.
Something like that. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll work out. I'm sure everyone's going to still be watching it after WrestleMania 2026, you know?
But here's the deal. Every sport is doing this.
Yeah.
Every sport has already done this. Like, if you live in an area where you can't get your favorite baseball team, many of them have a standalone app that you buy, and they're not cheap. Most of them are around, yes, here's the price, $29.99. For instance, I'm a New York Mets fan, but let's say I lived in an area with no cable or I didn't have cable, and I still wanted to watch them. Well, there's an app you can buy called the SMY app, I guess, and that's an extra. It's like $29.99 a month. The Yankees are on something called Gotham Sports,
Mhm.
which has them and one of the hockey teams, I think. That's $29.99 a month. So you can watch them without having a cable package.
Right.
You can watch it as if you had the cable package. You watch it on your phone, a tablet, TV on a Roku if you have one. This is the way of the future, folks, for everything. Everything. Is it as cheap as when you were a kid and turned on channel 11 and there it was? No, it's not that cheap. But I put it to you, everything will drive you crazy if you let it. For instance, I'm a New York Mets fan. I was just telling Joe, this year, the New York Mets have been on their own cable network, which is called SMY, right?
Yep.
Then they're on Channel 11, which is a local broadcast station. Then they've been on Apple TV. Then they've been on ESPN. Then they've been on Amazon Prime. Then they've been on more stuff than just you could keep going down the list. You cannot just flip your local TV station and go, "Where's my team?" Because they're everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. It's like there are so many deals that are being cooked up with all these different factions, all these different companies that want to have MLB on their networks. It's like a game of the week thing on Apple on
Yeah.
Friday nights. And I'll tell you what, this doesn't do anything. MLB on Apple is the most fantastic sports visuals I've ever seen in my life. They put a lot of money into it. It's in 4K. Oh, it's unbelievable. I have a good set, and it's like the best thing we look at. It's fantastic looking. It's great. But this has nothing to do with the overall thing. All I know is this. This is the way the world, gang. And is it easy? No. Yes, you're gonna spend more money to watch the stuff you really wanna watch, but you know what? They're not turning the clock back. They're just not. The
Yeah.
WB is not gonna say, "Well, let's just put everything on USA Network and that's it."
Yeah.
The USA Network, that's it. No, it's not happening anymore. It's just it. Besides, you still have SmackDown there, right? That's not going anywhere, I don't think, for a while.
Right.
S
Right. That's still
so
on USA.
yeah, so it's not like some people are saying and these guys are kinda smart. They're saying, "Well, I'm just turning on YouTube and I'm looking at the clips." Well, you can do that. You can do that. I mean, who puts the clips out? WWE.
Right.
Didn't they just start a thing on the WWE? Don't they have a channel now for some oddball stuff? I think they do.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it's like you'll still be able to find your wrestling. I just think a lot of people are screaming, "I'm not gonna be able to get this," when they're gonna be able to get it. That's the thing. And you'll actually save money because you won't have to subscribe to Peacock anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, like you just said, that's another good point. The Peacock thing, because I'm sure Peacock's going to lose such a large number of subscribers.
I
Because
don't agree. I
see,
don't agree.
I
No, I don't
you
I
don't think
think
the wrestling fans are going to drop it?
yeah, the wrestling fans are gonna try. I don't think it's enough of them to affect Peacock.
See, that's a question. I don't know the ins and outs of the numbers, but to me, it would seem like a fairly. I mean, yes, in the grand scheme, Peacock has its own,
Yeah,
fan base.
it's
But
yeah.
if you think about all the WWE fans, and there are a lot of them out there, all the wrestling fans that subscribe to Peacock solely for WWE. I mean, if you think about it, that's the only way that you can see their pay-per-views now or their PLEs now. So why would any of those fans who subscribe, and I'm one of them, several of my friends who are wrestling fans are examples. So why would they keep that subscription? I mean, yes, there are, there's a obviously you can always find something on there that you might want to see, a movie or a TV show. But I mean, in the age of all these streaming services, I don't know. I feel like it is going to be a fairly large chunk.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Everything is changing. I use streaming services while other people use cable. You have cable still, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I use a streaming service, which is Hulu Plus Live TV. Now, I started it with YouTube TV, and I quit YouTube TV because they took the Mets off. They took the SNY Regional Sports Network off. So I switched to Hulu Plus Live TV. Guess what? That's going the way of the dodo very, very quickly. It's going to be merged into Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
It was in the news this week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So everything's a whirlwind of where do I find my shows?
Well,
This is it, guys. It's like I remember some of us are old enough to remember getting up off our chair and turning to one of the 5 or 6 channels we
yeah,
used to
sure,
have
sure.
on our television set. It's like it's all over. I mean, everybody's being sold to the highest bidder, and everything's going to be sold to the highest bidder at your local supermarket too. So have a nice fall, everybody. It's going to be very, very odd out there.
What you said about trying to find like the Mets and they're on, 10 different channels and you have to keep up. It's a good point because it's almost like WWE was starting to be that way as well, being like they're on USA. They're on Peacock. Sometimes they're on YouTube. I think I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but as up until a couple of weeks ago, they were doing that Speed. Do you know what that is? That WWE Speed tournament?
Yeah.
And that was where was that? The only place you can see that was on WWE's X channel, their Twitter channel. So I mean, they have all these different places that you have to kind of do a little detective work to find. Same thing with AEW. AEW for their last 3 or 4 pay-per-views, they keep going to new streaming, to new places. The last one was on
Where are they now?
the last one I'm pretty sure was on Amazon Prime, so the only way you can order
Oh,
it was
that's
through
right.
Prime.
Yeah.
Then the
Hmm.
one before that was, let's say, I don't know, Bleacher, maybe Bleacher Report. The one before that was I'm forgetting the names of it. There's payperview.com. There's all these different places.
Well, weren't they on? Was it Triller for a while?
Oh, that's the one.
Which used to be the
Exactly,
old
Triller.
boxing thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
Triller was the one right before this. So again, it's like you actually and I've ordered a couple of them this year, and I actually was texting my friend Joe, I said, Joe, I said, I want I want to order the show. I was like, do you happen to know where I go to even order it? Which is crazy that we don't even know. Back in the day, you just, ordered it through your cable box. You went to the channel and you ordered it. So what I'm trying to say is it is pretty it's actually a little bit of a job now to actually keep up with where you see all these things, just like with sports. When I was, I'm a Yankee fan. When I was growing up as a kid watching the Yankees, it was easy. You put on PIX in New York, Channel 11. You knew you were going to get Phil Rizzuto and, calling the games. It was on Channel 11. That's it. And then at one point, they split it 50-50, PIX versus the MSG network. So that's it. You watched it on one of those two channels, and it was fairly easy. But now, like you said, I mean, granted, I really don't watch too much baseball anymore, but you really have to keep up. You have to have a running tally to see where the game that you want to see on is actually airing this week.
And I know it's that way with the NFL too.
Yeah,
Not to
yeah.
mention the NBA.
Hmm.
Oh, the NBA is on 1,000 different places. It's, including their own network. So it's like, it's sometimes you just don't know where the game's gonna be on.
Yep, true.
Like, I'm sure they're still on the MSG network, the New York Knicks are, but sometimes they're on TNT,
Right.
sometimes they're on this or that, the other thing, or ABC itself. You have to have a guide. And
Yep.
this is why I still subscribe to the New York Daily News, ladies and gentlemen, because in every issue in the sports section, they have a box that says TV guide or sports television guide. And you find your team's logo and you can find out where they're on that specific night. So you don't have to go, where are they? Because I've done it myself. I've done it myself. Where the heck are they?
Right. Right. See, that's
It is frustrating. It's like you would expect that somebody would put out one simple thing that they would be shown on, and that's it. You know where to go each time. But no, there's enough money in professional sports that everybody wants a piece of the fiduciary pie, as Bill Murray would say.
And I haven't, as we've discussed in the past, I have not been an avid daily news reader or subscriber in many years now. But I like that. I like that they do that. I think it's a good touch, nice touch that they have a little guide for you to check out, and um, and keeping it in moving to like a wrestling analogy. Do you remember the old wrestling chatterbox newsletter?
Yes, Georgianne
Georgianne.
Macropolis, yes.
Exactly, Georgianne Macropolis. I loved that newsletter, when I was growing up. I was an avid subscriber. I used to talk to Georgianne. I know a lot of people did. She was
Oh,
very,
what a great lady she was. She invited me on some kind of a wrestling talk show they used to have on WFUV, back in the '80s when I was with PWI. Just the nicest person you'd ever meet. I don't know
she
what to say
was.
other than, and everybody knew, everybody loved her. She was part of the New York wrestling scene for sure.
She
She's like
was.
the queen of it. She's the queen.
Um, yeah, same experience. Used to talk to her at all the conventions. I remember calling her on several occasions about things, and yeah, she was great. And what I'm trying to say here with that is that that's one of the reasons why I like that newsletter, because that newsletter sort of did that type of thing. If you remember, it wasn't really a heavy newsletter. It's not like you subscribe to the Chatterbox for that, but you remember she used to have the bulletin board where she would have everything coming up. I was a big indie wrestling fan at that time growing up, and I used to want to know where all the shows were happening in Queens, on Long Island, and Manhattan. And she would have everything for like the next month. She would say, okay, this company is going to be here. They're going to be at the Elks Lodge. They're going to be at this little
Yeah.
bingo hall. She would give everything, and you really couldn't find that in any of the other publications. So again, sort of like equating it to that. Um, I love that type of stuff, because you want to have it organized. You want to know what you're doing, these shows are that you can schedule. Same thing with TV. You want to know where these things are airing. You want to be able to be prepared in advance so that you're not scrambling at the last minute. Where the hell do I put this on? How do I watch this? What channel is it on? What do I subscribe to? So,
Yeah, that's true. Well, all I know is that, such is the way of the world right now. You got to scramble to find your wrestling. It's like, it is true. I mean, it is kind of mind boggling. And I would put up with anybody complaining about that. Where is my show?
yeah.
It seems like there's a new deal with the WWE every 2 years. They announce some big multi-billion-dollar contract, and they're all hosanna, and they're going on other sports shows to brag about it. I think the paying fan gets kind of forgotten in all these things. It's not always about without the fans, wrestling ain't nothing. I actually see in my mind's eye the WWE hitting a wall soon. I mean, things are getting so expensive out there both for arena shows and trying to watch it on TV. But here's the deal: right now, it hasn't slowed down for them. Right now, as we're talking, it hasn't slowed down at all. I think I'm pretty sure did SummerSlam sell out?
Um,
Remember, it's 2 night I'm not so sure that the entire arena sold out, though.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. They're very cagey about that now
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
like they give you the attendance, and the attendance sounds really impressive, but then you see online, you see people showing video of the stadium where it's like there are some sections that are empty, and you don't know though if like the sections were tarped off by WWE because they never even tried to sell these tickets. But in that
Oh,
sense,
maybe they're a bad visual area too. Remember, they have that big screen there.
exactly. But
That
so that's
giant a third of the stadium is taken up with that giant place that they were walking through to get
right.
to the ring. So, you would tarp off the areas on the left and right of that because you have no vantage point.
Exactly. So in that case, does that constitute a sellout if they never even sold those tickets in the first place?
Well,
Because
if they considered the seats unusable and even in the NBA, well, no, they open up all the tickets in the NBA and hockey. But the hockey if you have an arena that's got hockey and basketball, right, both
Mhm,
going on professionally, the overall total attendance figures will be different for a sellout because it's
right,
a different number of people because there's a different staging,
right.
right? It's just that simple. Like at the NBA, you have courtside seating that's like really, really, really close, right behind where the benches are. But when hockey, it's all sealed off and it's a little wider of a platform. So I think the hockey attendances are lower than the basketball.
Well, what about, do you ever buy tickets to like a concert, and
Yeah.
if you get like a really, really crappy seat, it'll say when you buy the ticket, limited view or
Yes.
obstructed view. So it's funny that some of these events that are being sold, they will tell you like, look, you're not going to be able to see half the show. Or now, I guess it might be different rules for a concert, because a concert, it's not like you're. I mean, yes, you want to see it, but primarily it's for you to hear. So, I mean, are you really seeing what the guy looks like on stage? No, you're seeing them run around the stage, do a concert. So a lot of times you'll buy tickets like that where it's a bad view. I don't know. Wrestling, it's different. I mean, you go into wrestling. I mean, what the hell are you going there for if you can't see anything?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is a good question. I don't know if they qualify as sellouts.
I don't either. I don't know a lot of things these days. But one thing I know, as we sit here talking, folks, Joe and I, this coming week, as we talk. In fact, let me think about this. This show comes out on a Friday. Joe and I will be at an NWA event in Long Island. That's right, Billy Corgan's NWA. We're going. We're swallowing hard, and we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see how a live show runs with that organization. I'll be blunt. It better be better than the TV show. That's all I have to say. I tuned in for their debut on the Roku channel, and I'm not watching it again. That's it. I'm done. I just it's such a mess. So we felt like seeing some indie wrestling, and basically, well, to be honest with you, the NWA is an indie. I can't call that a serious national promotion. It's an indie. So we're gonna go check out the NWA, and hopefully, we will have a good time. One of my favorite wrestlers has told me that he's going to be there. We'll find out if he is or not. And Joe, are you looking forward to this, or are you full of trepidation?
I'm looking forward to it. Look, I don't. whether or not the wrestling itself is great, whether or not the character is good, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. Hey, look, going to indie wrestling, it's always a crapshoot. A lot of times you don't know what you're going to get. A lot of times it's just going to a smaller venue, going to see these guys up close. It's a lot of fan interaction. Obviously, we'll be able to hang out, so it'll be cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And hey, it'll give us some firsthand personal things to
Yes.
talk about on the pod.
Yep, that's for sure. And listen, I just want to hear a body hit a mat. I haven't been to a live wrestling show in a long time, so it'll be fun in that regard. And we're really close. Our seats are excellent, so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really hoping that we have a good time and that we get out of Huntington alive, Huntington, Long Island. It's gonna be. Joe, it's good to see you. We're gonna move on now to our guest Oliver Bateman, who and Oliver and I are going to talk about this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? The conversations Oliver and I have had on the show, and now his second time here, they're just fun. We're just reminiscing. That's it. We do not have a theme for this show. We're going to talk wrestling. We're going to talk old wrestling. That's it.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Those Ringer guys are amazing. Ian Douglas, author of the two new books on the history of Black American wrestling. I just bought Bohemian Rhapsody, and one of his early books from 2022, and that's about the Bahamas scene. How how
Yeah.
the Bahamas ran pro wrestling for decades. What a writer he is! Holy smokes! I know you're a writer, and you kind of dig other writers, and you've got other writers on your website, which is called GenerationXWire.com, and I always want to plug that. It's well worth checking out, and the price is right, folks. And they have a pretty big wrestling section at this point with some great stuff coming up. Ain't that right?
That is true. I appreciate it. We try to do a good amount of wrestling as it comes, but yeah, wrestling and anything else Generation X oriented. But it's doing well. Like you said, the price is right, free, so you can't beat that. And GenerationXWire.com. I hope everybody checks it out.
Have you had any Carvel lately?
Yes, I have.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know I didn't tell you this. I was gonna tell you that night, and then we got distracted. But about a week and a half ago, I went with my wife, my in-laws. So the four of us went, and not only did we take a walk to our local Carvel, it was a nice night. It was cool out, so we said let's just take a walk. But we each of us brought our dogs, so we walked our dogs to the Carvel. And this local Carvel, they, as long as the dogs aren't bothering anyone or whatever, it's a small place, they let you bring the dogs in. They don't say anything. So we ordered our ice cream and we sat down. The dog sat down with us. And we hung out there for a half hour.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I just want to say I have been on a special diet because of my mouth problem here, and I've been able. They've got on a soft foods diet like eggs and tuna
Mhm.
fish, and I know I've lost some weight, but I'm not having any fun at all. It's been. I'm hoping one day I can have a burger. Jay Wellington might be here. I got to get back to my burgers, but anyway. This is Joe Puccio. I'm Bob Smith. Hang on for Oliver Bateman. He's one of a kind. Don't go anywhere. Get yourself a Carvel milkshake, right? Yummo. We'll be right back. Well, been waiting to get this guy back on the show for a while. I have him here now, and I'm really excited about it. It is Oliver Lee Bateman. He is the editor of Ian Douglas's new book. We had Ian on a few weeks ago, and the book name again is A Decided Novelty: The Essential Guide to Black Pro Wrestling History, 1880 to 1950. This book is going to be a perennial. This is going to be a book that's going to be used by historians moving forward, and Ian and Oliver did the work, so it's a real exciting thing that just came out. Oliver and Ian both work for the best thing Spotify does. It's called The Ringer. It's an amazing website. I cannot believe it's not under a paywall. I can't. It's got so much stuff on it, from movies to film to culture to television, you name it, and they have a section for wrestling. It's one of the most learned and exciting ones that I read because It's nuts and bolts with a real journalistic bent, and this is the rarest thing you can find in wrestling these days. And anyway, here he is. He's Oliver Bateman. Welcome back, man. Good to see you.
Rob, love this show. Glad to be back on. You know, Ian and I both love this show. Love how you approach this stuff. And you are, I mean, there are a lot of good podcasts out there, but I just like the flow of this show. And I like, obviously it's an old school show, but you do it right. I like these episodes. So I am glad to be back on.
You know, you said something that's the best compliment you could have gave me right there. The word was flow. No, I'm serious. There's a lot of podcasters out there and they have good intentions. And some of them have a lot to say and it's all pretty cool. But the shows don't flow. You know what I'm saying? There's no gap in it. There's no silent moments in it. Everything should have a flow to it. I always look at it as like even in my music days, I thought anything should be like a roller coaster, ups and downs. Something you can follow. You know, I think too many podcasts are hard to follow. If it's just static conversation for 90 minutes, you're gonna lose listeners, particularly if the sound's not good. I hate to say
This
that.
studio you've invested in is sweet. And like I was on one last night. I was telling you before we got started that he didn't have video on. He had some like link up problems, and it was okay. And we did, it was actually on No Holds Barred. Like we did a thing on Hulk Hogan's No Holds Barred, but it was pretty good. But like just felt really disjointed as I was doing it because I've gotten used to these studios getting better with video. Like right now, the way this is set up, it almost feels like sitting in the room with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good. But I did this one the other night. I was just like, man, there's just no flow. And I feel he has a pretty good following, and it's younger kids. He's Gen Z. It was a Gen Z podcaster. And I was just like, man, I think they like this, but it's just so herky jerk. And you know what I mean? I mean, you know the deal.
All I can say is I worked this thing really, really hard. I want it to sound like I have a network behind me, even though I don't. And that's the important thing to me. I want people to confuse it with a high money podcast because I work everything. The music I select, the ads that I accept, everything is just it's got all handshake. Like the ads have to be associated with what we're talking about, or it doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm not going to put an ad for flower pots on a wrestling show. So yeah, I don't care how much money it is; it makes no sense. So, in any event, I'm glad you said flow. I really appreciate that compliment because you know what? That's what I'm going for here. I don't want to be like everybody the wrestling. But I want to be my own thing. Even though I'm older than Tide detergent, I want to do my own thing and have a different voice out there than just the usual
I just think it's great.
match results and all that other
Yeah,
stuff,
I think it's great that perspective though of like newspaper person who then did PWI and all the mags for the years is doing this because it's a cool perspective and such a cool period, and I mean such a long cool period in wrestling history. And I don't know, as a historian I like that aspect of it, you know.
My PWI tenure was interesting because I joined at the tail end of the first bout of Hulkamania, right? Right at the tail end in '88. And by '91, business was in a crapper. It was really bad. I mean, it's like when I left, right before I left is when they started their first Monday Night Raws in the Manhattan Center, which holds 1,000 people. Think about that for a minute. They weren't drawing well enough
Yeah, it's
to
crazy.
use an arena for a Monday Night National show.
It
That's
is
how
crazy.
bad it was.
It is crazy. Like the arenas are dark at that period. Like they're darkening the lights, and like it's so crazy because there is there's a production values drop in WWF. The '80s production values are well shot. Like things like Saturday Night's Main Event look good today.
Mhm.
Even like the camera works pretty good. But then that period that you're talking about, something happens. It looks really bad. Like they can't do their, and like they still have the techniques and they still have the personnel, but they're not, the product and the ability to film the product is not there. It looks small time.
You talking today or back in the '90s?
90s.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
small
and
time.
they did
It
the
was
same
small
thing,
time.
like, you would watch the Sportatorium, which used to be packed to the rafters when
Yeah.
the Von Erichs were working. By the time they all flaked away,
Shit.
again, they had 420 people there, and they were trying to make it look full,
They start looking like
or
studios. Looks
the
like they're
Global
shooting in a
Dome,
studio. Yeah, terrible.
I know. Everything when and this is why in '91 when I visited Memphis, it was a miracle in my eyes.
Yes.
Memphis was still drawing. Memphis felt like it hadn't changed. They were having rent problems with the Mid-South
Yeah,
Coliseum. They were
yeah.
using an alternate site called the Pipkin Building, and they had the usual Monday night card, and I got to go to one of them, and place was packed. It's as if nothing else ever happened, I love stuff like that. And another thing I love discovering all these years later is that in the mid-80s, when the and this is true. I've talked to 4 different people involved with the organization. Mid-80s in Indianapolis, they were still drawing.
What?
I'm not saying they were
Really?
drawing stadiums. I'm not saying they were drawing arenas, but they had mid-sized arenas. They were doing 2 to 4,000 people.
Who was fronting those shows? It wasn't Dick the Bruiser himself. Who
No,
was
no, here's the beauty part. Who you can thank is Jerry Jaffe, who was Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. He got a beer distributor to come in and put a new paint no, a Miller beer distributor. I forget the gentleman's name,
uh,
but it sounds small time because it is, right? But then Jaffe goes, "I'm gonna spruce the Brewster Bedlam show up," and he had wraparounds, he did interviews between the matches and other segments. It didn't look cheap. It really didn't look cheap. And this is the time when Scott Recksteiner debuted.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. He breaks in.
I am telling you, the show is better than it has any right to be. He hired an old pro and Terry Sullivan to do his play-by-play. I have been pointing people to that show because both Dave Dynasty and other people put it on YouTube, and everybody's falling on the floor. Now,
They
I'm not
had
saying they're
another
right.
Olympic wrestler on top, right? Like a guy that like bald head or something that
That was
had.
Greg Wojo.
That's it. That's it. Who could wrestle?
I still can't believe they did this bit then. They would do, and this was apparently legit because everybody I talked to said no, that we were doing this. A fan could come into the ring and try to beat him, and if you beat him in 10 minutes, you
Oh,
got
wow.
$10,000 or something like that. But he was a stretcher. Wojo was an amazing athlete, a real Olympic style wrestler, and he would just get the guys in the mat, stretch them. The minute they started to
It's a
squirm,
great
he'd let them
gimmick.
go.
It's
Yeah,
still a
yeah.
great. I wish they did that today with somebody. I mean,
You know how exciting that is to come and watch it? Your best friend Biff with his beer muscles is going to get in the ring against a pro.
I know
or
after
elite
what happened
star.
with Kurt Angle in that situation where he almost got choked and had to, in the Tough Enough era, like fans have gotten legit skills at this point. There's like a lot of knowledge of BJJ and submission wrestling that's out there.
Right.
So there's probably more risk, but I would love to see that happen
Yeah,
today.
I
It'd
don't
be
know
so
how
good.
I don't know how any state athletic commission would allow it,
No,
but
no,
they did it.
it's great.
Yeah, but I am telling you, if you ever here's the problem, there were a lot of Brewster Bedlam was on for about 5 to 6 years total, under that name for the show. It's the later ones that are the spectacular ones. There were earlier ones where you could tell the whole organization was on its last whiffs. I mean, wrestlers who had no business being in the ring were, like, headlining and stuff. It was really bad, and then somehow, again, it was Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. with the book who got the right blend, and sometimes, a good booker can make or break you. This is what I say now, and people keep telling me, "Tony Khan needs a booker." Well, who is that exactly, right?
I
Everybody's
do
gone.
believe if you can pull that off in Indianapolis in the mid '80s, I believe with the amount of money the Cons have, that place could go to the moon if you hit it right. Like there's a lot of talent there. I like a lot of the wrestlers on the roster there. I would book them completely differently, but I like a lot of the talent. I'll tell you, Bob, I don't like the way either of the companies is booked. I've told Ian this, and Ian knows it too. I would book big men on top, small men in the opening matches, and I don't think anybody wants that now. I like that.
Depends on
Got
who you ask, right? Yeah.
huge men or college athletes or college football players or college wrestlers on top. And then, flip guys, Will Ospreay types and the mid card for the Intercontinental belt, amazing matches, and then some cool stuff in the opener. That's what I would do.
Me too.
I don't think there's a taste for that in the market anymore, but that is my preference in wrestling. I love that.
I tell you what, we have to somehow, us veteran fans, have to keep shouting about the overindulgence of the dangerous spot.
Yeah.
Let it
Dangerous.
go.
Ian and I have
Let it
talked about
go.
this.
Let it go.
I like a spot that can be a little bit dangerous if it's built into like what it looks like. and I know you can't always do this, but it looks like it might be used in a shoot. But it's kind of zany. Like maybe it's like they're actually fighting, but it's a zany or crazy spot. Like I don't like spots where guys have to clearly roll and assist each other into the position, no matter how cool it is. It just is terrible to me to watch guys like flail around getting into position for a superplex. Like
Yeah.
pulling when the guy who's about to be superplexed pulls the other guy into the position and he's like
Yeah.
sort of giving him like fake axe handles or something to get him up in there. Just
Even
awful. That looks so bad.
even at SummerSlam, here's the I forget what it was. He's up on the top rope, gonna fly down on two guys, and they're just standing there.
Yeah,
No,
I don't like those
no,
moves. The only move I
no.
liked of that was when Samoa Joe walks away from it. I like
Yeah,
that move.
yeah.
He's the only one
But
that does it, but that's a
why
great move.
can't you at least pretend to be dazed? I know why they're trying to catch the guy as he falls on him,
You gotta get the good
but
catch.
you should at least wobble or something. Make it add a little realism to it. Seriously, I think it's important.
Yeah, do a less dangerous spot coming off, but be woozy looking on the bottom to catch
Yes.
them, and then it kind of makes sense. Anything that looks like it hurts you more than them is not a good move, in my opinion. Anything that looks like it hurts them more than you is a good move.
Even a guy who got hit with a pie in a Three Stooges short acted like it hurt a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's a good spot. Those guys had spots that made sense though, and guys like Curly were athletes.
Is there anything funnier than a Stooge pie fight? I mean, seriously now. Just strip away even what the short was
They know
about.
how to
When they
book it.
start throwing the pies, you're gonna laugh at
They could
somebody.
work. They could
Like,
work.
and they would change it up. Like you'd see the pies flying around, hit some lady, poof, right in the mush. Hit some old man who's asleep, bang. It's just, you know what I mean? They mixed it up. All of a sudden,
Psychology was good.
Larry, for some reason, is in a suit of armor, and he's laughing, ha ha ha, boom, when he puts up the suit of armor, the shield on the order, bang, right in the face. And the classic curly spot, later mimicked by Rick Rubin in the Beastie Boys video, right? You remember this?
Well, no,
Rear
no,
back and rear back and try to throw, somebody hits you with a pie. Rear back and try to throw, somebody hits you with another
that's a
pie.
good spot.
Then you rear way back, and somebody walks up behind you and smashes it into your head right next to you.
Oh
And
wow,
that's what
what video is that in of the Beastie
Fight
Boys?
for your right to party.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah, he's the long-haired shaggy guy trying to throw a pie.
Man, I have to go back and watch that. Rick
We
Rubin's a
have veered
character,
off
man.
here. This is what I like about this podcast, so you get
Yeah,
into these little
throw it
peaks
back.
and valleys. Anyway, you guys, you and Ian, on July 25th, published on The Ringer a article entitled very simply, "The History of Hulkamania."
Yes.
I am telling everyone in the world here through my meager little podcast that this is the article to read about the demise of Hulk Hogan. A fantastic job by you both. I don't know how you did it so quickly. Congratulations. It's amazing, and it is much, much talked about.
I thought that like we didn't title that one. We initially called it something else, but like I wanted to after I saw what our editor was calling it, I wanted to call it A History of Hulkamania because what we did, knowing that Hulk is such a big figure, we were like talking to each other the day and the night, like when we heard the news. And Ian was like, we can't cover it all. So let's think about what we can cover well. We'll get I'll handle some of the like generic foundation stuff. And Ian will tackle Japan, and particularly like the couple periods where Hogan was really like Ichiban Hogan, as Brian Blair, his buddy, calls him, like where he was really the top guy in those periods. And then Ian will get Steve Kern and Brian Blair and Mike Rotunda and get material in there from them. And those will be the only obituaries that have that material. So it'll have all the beats. And I'll frame the whole thing up once I have it. And so when it came out, I was like, people have told me different parts of it. They're like, man, I'm glad Steve Kern spoke to Hulk Hogan's faith at the end. Just random people who might be reading like my stuff for like culture magazines or something else. Because I did one on Hulk Hogan's like politics, not critical or praising, just that he kind of moved around politically for another site I write for. So I did 2 Hogan obits at this. We kind of left the politics out of this one because of that. It's like people could go read my other one at this British publication, Unheard. But when we got done with the Ringer one, I was like, this is another thing, like you said, like a decided novelty, the book. I worked so hard on editing that, and Ian worked so hard on writing it because we thought exactly what you said, which is hopefully this will be a helpful tool for historians. And when we do these obits now, especially when we know we have the resources, like Brian Blair is there and Steve Kern is there, let's get them in there to help future generations of writers or fans that want to learn the history. And let's put them on the record for all time, right? And then we can, if anybody wants to look back to see what Brian Blair or Steve Kern said about their friend, there it is. And I like in this case, we get some really unusual stuff. Like Hulk Hogan had become pretty religious by the end with his new wife and was like thinking about forgiveness and was thinking about the other world and stuff like that because he'd had a lot of surgeries. And I'm like, I can't believe we have that quote in there. If I were just a fan reading that, I'd be like, I'm so glad because I like to read or listen to a podcast or something or a show and find something new, So if I were reading this, I'd be like, oh, that's new. Steve Kern has a new perspective on Hulk Hogan here. I didn't know that. And it's really thoughtful. It's really kind of sad, especially what Kern says. Mike Rotunda's in there to say Hulk Hogan helps you make a lot of money. Best payday. His WrestleMania payday with Hogan, great. And which is good confirmation of what we know. But like Kern had some really profound stuff to say. And I've talked to Kern. Kern is a very profound guy in general. He's like one of those like grizzled old men that has a lot of wisdom. And so I was glad to have that in there. But that article is so cool. And I love doing these, whether it's, me doing them or Ian doing them or doing them together and getting them out there. And the Ringer just does a great, like David Shoemaker, that editor needs to get all the credit because he has always wanted to add to wrestling history through obituaries, partly because they do get a lot of traffic. When a wrestler dies, it gets way more traffic. And you know this from covering it. For some reason, people are really obsessed with wrestlers dying because they kind of die young, or maybe there's a lot of tragedy involved. And that's the big deal. And so the obituaries are always high traffic, but our thing is let's put some new material in the obituaries. Like let's dig up, Hulk Hogan as a bowler, which we get in there. Hulk Hogan was a good bowler as a kid.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I still bowl. You know that? I'm still a competitive bowler.
Apparently he did too, and was good. Like not just a good bass player, but a good bowler, a good little league baseball player. Weird guy. So Hogan is in there in all these different ways. And now it's out there, Bob. Like the Ringer has put it out. It looks great. Like their stuff always looks great. People can go and find it. So they should go and read it. And it's the same thing with the book we worked on. A Decided Novelty is definitely a book that people should grab if they want to learn anything about, like, so much. That book, the previous book, Gentleman Jack and Rough Rufus, which I also edited with Ian, that was kind of like a dry run for this. Like, that's a good story. It's really well done. But then this is like the 600-page bringing it all home because, Rufus Jones and Jack Claiborne are in this too. Like, it's bringing it all back home in this volume, and it's incredible. Everything about that book that came together is perfect. The cover is perfect on A Decided Novelty. You've seen that green book cover?
Yeah.
Everything about it looks good. It's just fantastic. And as a historian, I'm so glad that it's out there because I would have wanted to read that book 20 years ago. That's one of my rules, Bob, for projects. I only want to work on things that I would have wanted to read 20 years ago when I was coming up. Like I want to write things that that young me would have been looking for and needed to find that weren't out there, or help get a project out that would do that. And this is that type of project.
I keep saying that right now is the golden age of wrestling books. I have never seen more good books come out in a 2-year period than I've seen right now. Right now, this is the second year of it.
I think that they have hit. I think that they have hit because there's the period after the Mick Foley book when a lot of bios came out and WB was publishing bios and stuff came out. So there was a flurry of stuff. But I feel like right now, a lot of the people that were doing bios refined them. So the Ken Patera bio is definitely the best Kenny Casanova bio, right? So he's done a bunch of them, but that's by far the best one. And they're all like hitting their stride as getting these books out. And there's like a new people coming in. Like the Adrian Adonis bio was good. Like these books are coming out and they're hitting their stride, they're hitting their peak. There's unusual books coming out too, like those territorial records that are being done. That one guy is doing year by year territory records, like that kind of stuff is coming out.
Mhm.
And there just hasn't been that kind of like. And then Jonathan Snowden, our friend, Ian's friend, my friend, the guy I read for years and years, who did the amazing Ken Shamrock bio, and an amazing, can't plug in enough book, Shooters, on like legit wrestling in pro wrestling throughout its history. Just two phenomenal books plus other books. He has several things cooking right now. That he has a history of Pride Fighting, the big MMA organization, something on Dusty Rhodes, potentially. It's kind of been backburnered. A bunch of other things, like the Pride book is going to be about like Japanese wrestling and Japanese MMA. And it's going to be, there's no better person to write it than Jonathan Snowden, who was there for much of it, kind of writing like being published at a time when I was reading him in the 2000s. And so all these people are there waiting and working, and the stuff is coming up. And like Phil Schneider's book on blood and wrestling and the revised version, nobody better than Phil to do that. He needs to get more books out on match history. Phil Schneider, phenomenal. And he's doing match write-ups. He was at the Ringer for a while, and then they kind of downsized their operation. But he was doing these great match write-ups for them, and now he's doing it for Yahoo Sports. And he needs to be doing more stuff. But like all these people are out there waiting to, and even mainstream books are coming out that are decent. Like I skimmed didn't read in full, but like I skimmed the Becky Lynch book and I skimmed the Mox book, and like it's all coming out. I think you're right. This probably is the best period now that we've had all this time to start getting history and new stuff, old stuff. And it's not like, because it's like selling like gangbusters or anything. It just feels like the fans have put it all together and they want to do it. Like the people working on this, or the wrestlers working on this, want to do it now. Like the idea that there's a 2-volume Steve Kern autobiography that Ian worked on, like it's crazy and it works. And you have to think like Steve Kern, that sets the bar for how much you can get out of a guy's life.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the second volume particularly hit me hard.
did a great job.
I did not know any of those things about him near the end. He was, this is the time when I was
he was mowing grass.
When he's mowing grass and I'm sitting in an office at Peter Road, I had no idea. I had no idea. Incredible uncovering of, but Steve obviously was raw and honest about his entire life.
Totally.
Laid his cards on the table and said, "This is what happened." Got to give him props for that. Most people would be embarrassed.
Everything's in there. And he's like, the fact is he's like tied to so many chunks of the business. He has his own strange bio in general, with like the POW dad officer in Vietnam going into then like school, kind of like 20 something wrestling, idol, in Florida, to actual main event idol in Memphis, to, kind of trying to keep Florida alive, to getting heavy and wrestling as Skinner on purpose for that gimmick. And then, mowing lawns, somehow being the man that starts WWF training, basically. Just what a weird career of all of that stuff. And a major figure in terms of longevity.
Yeah. And probably
looked every different way. Like there are very few wrestlers that had that many career looks.
Yes.
As Steve Kern, from like jacked up steroid, sex heartthrob, to Skinner, to just looking like a white bread baby face early in his career. He looked every conceivable way. And his work is so tight too. I went back after reading the book and looked at matches, and I was like, this guy is just a pro.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Who would have thought that when they gave him the gimmick Skinner, he'd go, "Oh, that's me."
And it kind of was.
It was him, and that's
He
what
knew
he
how to
told
do
me when he was
a
on the
lot of that
show.
stuff. Yeah.
It was like he was like, "Yeah, that's who I was. I'll step into that." He didn't dislike it at all.
He's a Florida man. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, he's a Tampa, Florida man, and he learned even more about the Everglades life, and he just was yeah. It's kinda weird when you realize it's like when Kurt Hennig had the anti-rap gimmick in WCW, and you realize that was the gimmick he liked most, not Mr. Perfect. You're like, "Why is this guy leaning?" Because I will always associate Steve Keirn, with the Fabs, like, he was, like, the
Yeah.
good-looking,
Mhm.
bearded,
Lady Killer.
black
Yeah.
bearded,
Mhm.
jacked, dude with the bow tie. That's a signature look. No, it's Skinner.
Skinner. Yeah.
That's that's Steve Keirn.
You know what? I like the guys. I had Barry Horowitz on the show, who
Mhm.
was a prelim guy in the WWE. He wrote a book this year too, and his motto was always, "I gotta do my job." No matter where he was on the pecking order in terms of he's never gonna be a main event for whatever reason, but it's like, "I'm here to do my job. I'm not gonna give everybody a hard time. I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna do the job they want me to do." And I think Steve had a lot of it in him too.
He did. He says it in the book. No pride. Not like he had pride, but like no pride in terms of his place on the card. Like had been a main eventer and he could open matches. He could do whatever they needed him to do. He would do anything.
Yeah.
He was working.
You know, you got a spot. This is why on a Broadway musical, people are standing in line 20 deep to get a role as the guy who shuffles papers in an office in the background. You gotta do your job. I'm in the show, right? I'm on this big show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
love it.
like or
Yeah.
the fifth dancer in a musical. There are hundreds of people who will try out for that one minor role, considered a minor role, because they wanna be part of the show, and that's enough sometimes, and I think that's great. That's soul. That's doing the right thing to make everything better instead of just being myopic. I think a lot of today's young wrestlers are very myopic.
Yeah, I like the people that throw down their bucket and they can be a big show one day. And Matt Cardona has that sense. He can be a big show one day, a small show another day, on national TV, like at a mall the next day, anywhere
Yeah.
for money. We'll sell you we'll sell you a T-shirt at the table. The guys that understood that are the ones that make the money, like that survive at least and make the money. And you always like to see them do well, at least.
I like Matt Cardona a lot.
Great.
I am shocked he has not been asked to come back.
I'd make that guy a world champ. He's like LA Knight 1.0. He and
You're not
LA Knight,
kidding, yeah.
he and Eli Drake, LA Knight are like good body guys. They both have great bodies. I consider those close to like world champ physiques. Like you can make those guys world champs,
Mhm.
and they can do all the moves. They can do all the moves.
Think of that, LA Knight versus that's perfect, man.
Yeah,
That's good booking. You should be booking.
I would have that something like that going as a feud. Like I like, a lot of the top of the card WWE guys, but I consider those two guys to be better than most of the top of the. I mean, like Cardona is just so polished in every phase of the wrestling game. He's so good.
Yeah.
His wife is good too, but he is so polished and he has the perfect, for me, it's like always like, physiques and fitness are such a big part. He has the perfect modern look. He can talk. He understands the modern psychology. He'll sell merch. He'll sell you merch like with his bare hands. And he can work every match. That he can do death matches and he can do a technical match. Like he can do everything. And that to me, I honestly I like Gunther and those guys, but I think he's better than Gunther. Like honestly, like you know, I mean Gunther's good. He looks like kind of a throwback guy in
Mhm.
some ways. Looks a little bit like Stan Stasiak and those guys.
I equate him to Killer Kowalski personally.
It's got the exact same build now,
Yeah,
especially as Killer
yeah.
Kowalski. Now that he's lost the weight, like he looks a lot like before. He looked a little bit like some of the fatter wrestlers of that era, but now he
And
looks exactly like Killer Kowalski.
I'll
Very
tell
weird.
this to the I'll tell this to the older fans that listen to the show. Try to find early pictures of both, Gunther and Damian Priest. You will follow.
Oh yeah, Damian Priest was a chunk.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
I
Kudos
can't
to
even
him for.
imagine that.
I think he did an even better job than Gunther getting in shape. Kudos to him for getting. He had further to go. He looked terrible, and now in his 40s, he looks good.
Yeah.
He was able to get the world title. Have the strap, and I think he looks like a million bucks. And that almost an Undertaker like look, and he can work any type of match. He could talk. He could talk in two languages, just like Gunther. And
Yeah.
I mean those guys. I mean, I don't know if Priest will ever get the title again. I'm glad he got it, but those guys are world level stars. It's good to see. It's also good to see when guys get themselves in shape for the big role.
I think the WWE, I have to admit this in my heart, I really believe this, is that the WWE talent acquisition bunch is like Lorne Michaels and SNL. If you're really bad, you're not going to be on the show.
No, they weed
only
them
get the
out.
cream of the cream of the cream of the crop. They really do. I mean, their roster, if you really think about who's on it, is incredible.
Yeah, they might not
Whether they-
always be in the best sketches, but they're getting the best performers.
Right.
Like it's and they can just warehouse them.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know,
So, and speaking of Chelsea Green, when she first
good.
came to the WWE, I said, "What's she doing here?" Last time I saw her was she was in the awful NWA as it exists now, right? I'm what is she doing here? And then
She
I
was
didn't
good
like
at
her
Lucha
first.
Underground, man, as Reclusa. She was really good.
But you know what? This gimmick she's got now, I'm crazy about her now.
She's very good.
I think it's just entertainment, pure entertainment, and a
I
good
mean, she
wrestler.
doesn't need to
And
be world champ, but she's world level talent for the next year or two or three with this gimmick. She should get the world title at some point. I would give it. I mean, like this. They probably don't think they need to give it to her, but just like LA Knight, like she's older, she can do all the stuff. Her gimmick is so she's so good at being so whiny, but she can go out and work a match, and she keeps those two women with her relevant.
all right,
Like
or
Alba
maybe-
Fire and
yeah.
Doudrop or Piper Niven are not. They're all good. Piper's a good big girl worker, like safe, very safe, picking people up and stuff. But like they're not. They don't have like tons of charisma. She carries all three.
How they booked LA Knight over the last year, I don't understand. And neither has Cornette and a lot of other people who
He used
are
to be a
older.
world champ. It's a world.
Yeah,
champ
he
level
should have
figure.
been one already. And I'll tell you what, I think what happened, and I could be wrong. All I know is what I see. And the minute he got super blazing red hot, which was WrestleMania a year ago, here comes Randy Orton back, right?
Yeah, he
And
got
Randy Orton needed to reclaim his old spot. WWE tends to rely on the veterans every time.
yeah.
The
Brock
Rock,
back.
Randy Orton, just goes down the list. If somebody older comes back, they're gonna get pushed. For some reason, I just think that knocked Knight down a peg in their eyes in terms of who they're gonna belt or who make a contender out of and stuff like that. So I think it's a little unfair, but you know what? I think if these guys are pros, they'll deal with it. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, there's the thing. I had a little mini argument with somebody in social media the other day before I blocked them. Well, it's just a Nimrod. But anyway, oh, how can anybody sign with WWE the way they bury their people and mistreat them? And why would they sign there when they know they're not going to get a spot? And I simply responded with a picture of a bag of money.
Yeah,
You're getting paid, Sherlock.
that's like
You're
saying,
getting
why would
paid.
you leave the Canadian Football League? You can be a starter in Canada to back up, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Well, you get twice or 5 times as much money, 10 times, 20.
Yeah.
And you like, most people would rather be a reserve in the show than a start. Like most people who just crunch the numbers, which is most people now, would rather be a starter or like a reserve in the show than a starter in like, the AAA. It is what it is. Like it's not bad.
But there's the thing. I mean, if you're in the top 20 pecking order in the men's and women's divisions in WWE, you are making really good money.
Couple mil, 2, 3,
People don't
4 mil.
At least you're right. And people don't realize this. They think I don't know if they think, well, they get paid more if they win a match. Some people still have that mindset all these years later. That's not how it works. You're on a contract. You live out the contract and you're paid such amount of money, all based on how you're going to draw it, how many tickets you're going to sell, and how many watches you're going to get on television. And let me tell you something, the Seth Rollins of the world and
He played his cards right. He's done a good
Roman
job.
Reigns and all those guys are making it
I will say
big.
Roman Reigns has continued to improve his physique. Maybe it's that he can now. Maybe it's now that he can be on different. He get the wellness exemption, and maybe his cancer's far enough gone. His physique is phenomenal.
It
He
really is.
looks better than any point in his career. Randy Orton, same thing. Randy Orton is almost the largest man on the WWE roster right now in his
Mhm.
40s. And we know Randy has popped for steroids because it's not Sports Illustrated covered it and stuff. It's not a secret. It doesn't matter. He's still gigantic. His head and body have always been gigantic. He's a huge man with like a pedigree, but he is absolutely gigantic right now. He's almost as big as Brock Lesnar. He might
Mhm.
be as big as Brock Lesnar at the current moment. He is gigantic in the ring, and he can still work. Of course, they want to use him. He can talk better than he ever has at any point in his career. He's a very unusual character. I don't know why he continues to care. I mean, I guess his deal is great.
Well, there
He
you
has a
go.
great deal, but like, I mean, you don't have to take that kind of care of yourself. But he looks great. With the Kevin Owens injury, there is a spot that's kind of sitting open.
Mhm.
You know, the amazing thing about LA Knight has been his resist. I knock on wood. I say this, he might get hurt on, Monday or Friday or something. But his resistance to injury is insane. Like you watch LA Knight, he's 42. He's hitting not always, but he's hitting the top rope off a vertical. He's
Yeah.
box jumping the top rope to do a superplex. People have to realize he is even better than Matt Cardona at the athletic moves, but he's 42 years old. He's my
Right.
age.
Mhm.
And he's hitting some amazing. He has like no wear and tear. Like he's posted his lower body workouts. He has one of the best lower bodies in the business.
How old is
For
Rollins?
he's got to be over 40 or close.
This is what I'm saying. It seems like in wrestling, your peak is when you're around 40 years old.
If you can avoid the injuries and you take care of yourself. Cody's proven that he's almost 40. Like Cody looks his best. He came back from the pec tear. Cody has a routine that's athletic that he can do in any big match with anybody. And he probably has 7 or 8 more good top years that he can run through, where he turns heel, turns face, does different stuff. You're right. I think like 37 to 45 is probably the sweet spot if
It
you don't
really
get
is.
hurt. If you don't get
Mhm.
hurt, because by then you're working like a sweetheart schedule. You don't have as much grind. The worst time I think to be a wrestler right now is to be a young woman off your gymnastics scholarship in NXT. That is a tough time. And I think Cornette and other people have commented on this. That is like knee blowout city. Like they're good in NXT and they're trained up right, but you can't watch like I'm sure you watch Bob like Sol Ruka in NXT, and sometimes she comes up to the ring roster. Incredible athlete, one of the best I've ever seen. Like, how is that style going to last 5 more years? Like,
Yeah.
she's phenomenal, but she's gonna have to change her style. A lot of those girls have. She's had injuries already. She's had I don't know how she's doing it. They're impressive. Tiffany Stratton has had an injury too, I think, on the knee. They're gonna have to that style's got to evolve a little bit. And Chelsea Green's a good example of a safe style worked in your late 30s. She works a safe match. She did
Mhm.
all that stuff in Lucha Underground. Like she could do the moves, but she doesn't need to talk.
Yeah.
That's got to be the next step. Like that's why Mariah May, now Blake Monroe on the NXT roster, is going to be world champ in like 2 years. Best
No,
talker. It's not even
no
close.
doubt. No
It's not
doubt.
even
She just
close. She's the best in the game. She's tall. She's big. She can work a big woman style, but she doesn't have to do the flips. And since she's been in AEW, I thought she and Harley Cameron in AEW are the two best women's talkers in the game right now. Harley Cameron can do ventriloquism. She
Oh,
could
yeah,
cut a
I know what you're talking
promo
about, yeah.
with
Yeah.
a puppet. But Blake Monroe is going to be world champ soon.
Oh, there's no question about that. None of we forget the 3 words movie star looks too don't
I
hurt.
mean, Julia's okay. Vaquer's okay. They're all solid, very good pro wrestlers. Blake Monroe, Mariah May is like the real deal in every respect. I've never seen anybody that has that much of it. She's
You
just
know,
so good.
Valkyrie has
She's
impressed
very
the
good. She's
pants off of
older.
me.
She's older. She's smaller. I think she
Yeah.
works great. She works great with Becky Lynch. She has
Yeah,
a
they're
great
excellent
chemistry.
together. Yeah,
They have
yeah.
there's just some people you wanna keep them like, obviously, Triple H knows this, to say like, he knows who needs to wrestle. Like, you've got you could have just Rusev wrestle Sheamus week after week and do that for a while because 'cause they'll just beat each other up. It works well. But Lyra and Becky have great chemistry together, and Lyra's a good worker overall. She can do all the things. She can be a world champ if you need her to be. I don't see her as like the world champ, but she can be a champ for sure. She's solid.
She had a match on TV against Bailey that opened my eyes. I didn't think Bailey could work like that.
She makes everybody better. I think Bailey's a solid older now worker who does all the stuff.
Mhm.
She's like a B plus player, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Io
yeah.
Sky is an A minus player, A player. Like Io Sky has the best moveset, best moonsault out of all those women. Like can really work. Just needs to get the English a little tighter. That's the
Ooh,
thing I root for.
how do you feel about Rhea Ripley?
I like her. She's starting to get injured a lot, and I think the
Mhm.
clock's ticking. But I think she's a great one thing that I've always wondered about. I've talked to Ian about this, and as a historian, I wrote China's obituary years and years ago. It was one of the first ones that I did. Have you ever noticed how much Rhea Ripley's ring gear right now looks like China's?
Yeah, you're right.
And like, the chief, like the chief creative officer is the X of China, and the org is built around a slightly smaller China with like a cooler look. But that's China, like basically doing kind of and Rhea in the Judgment Day would pick up men and slam them. She wasn't wrestling Jeff Jarrett for the big bucks, when Jarrett held them up. What a great Jeff Jarrett is my favorite worker of all time because that man could do anything. Jeff
I
Jarrett would sell you ice in the Antarctic.
I think he's woefully underrated. Some
So
people have
freaking
such
good.
a negative opinion about him. Let me tell you something. From when he was a kid on, I just thought he was an exceptional talent. I don't understand.
Player. I wrote his dad's obit, so I dug into the newspapers, and you look at Jerry Jarrett, this like nerdy, weird looking guy. He was like a legendary Tennessee athlete. Like
Mhm.
all over the newspapers, like people are like, please go to Alabama and play for Bear Bryant. No, I just want to work for my mom selling tickets. But Jeff, played community like JV or JUCO basketball or something like that. You wouldn't. He's like 5'8", 5'9". You wouldn't think that he would do that. The best Jeff Jarrett story I have for you, Bob, is that here in Pittsburgh, there's a game studio called Mega Cat Studios that made this, or run by my friend James. They made this amazing game, WrestleQuest. Everybody should play WrestleQuest, the role playing game, because it has all of these real wrestlers in it, and all of them help contribute to their. It's a role playing game, and it looks a lot like Final Fantasy back in the day for people that played it on the Super Nintendo or something. But it's so well done. It's like a love letter to that type of game and to old pro wrestling. Jeff Jarrett is the one guy who, in addition to helping Mega Cat Studios get all of the other wrestlers, Jeff Jarrett decided to play a bunch of role playing games and actually learn what they are, and then like contribute to his own story in the game. And they were like, that's the kind of guy Jeff Jarrett is. He actually wants to learn whatever. Like
Mhm.
whatever you put him in, he'll try to learn more about it. Like he's just a smart guy. That doesn't mean all his business ideas have been huge successes. And I know people joke about like selling gold or whatever, but like, you know, but like he just like throws himself into whatever you put him in front of. And he's so good in the ring. He looks like he's 40 right now in
He
the
does,
ring.
yeah, yeah.
He's in incredible shape. And I think he's just like I was saying, Matt Cardona is like a primetime player. Like Jeff Jarrett is a primetime player, wrestling mind, legend, second generation guy. I put him up there with Cody because he was a world champ. Jeff was a multi-time real world champ and just a primetime everything kind of player. One of my just favorite guys. And today cuts these hilarious like vintage promos and does the strut better than anybody else. Nobody does. Everybody else can do you could do the Fargo strut, but nobody does it better than him. He's the best. And you talk about Memphis wrestling, like every time you roll him out, he's like the soul of what's left of Memphis wrestling. Even more than Lawler, like Lawler was his own thing. Jeff Jarrett is like he's like pulling together everything he's ever worked.
Yeah, Lawler morphed into his color commentary guys,
Yeah.
which was different than Memphis
Very
Lawler.
funny.
That was not the same guy at all.
No,
No.
I think Lawler was a great worker too. He looked good much of no matter what anybody thinks, like Lawler actually looked good much of his career, like had a good physique for the territories. I know people would deny that, but like actually looked pretty big guy.
For a guy who doesn't work out, he was
Correct.
a miracle.
That is the most amazing thing. He always looked big and fairly
Never
tough.
set foot in a gym in his life. Played softball, but that's it.
He's like the last of that generation of guys who looks like that.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know.
know.
Normal.
how.
Yeah. Normal
But
yeah.
big and able to put on the singlet and go out there and look definitely tanned, looked like a million, looked good for the role. Like everything about him worked. But yeah, he could work any, good guy, bad guy, whatever you need him to do. But yeah, commentary Lawler, if that's all you remember, like going on about puppies and
Yeah, exactly.
really being into the divas. I'm sure Vince loved that. That's the kind of funny that Vince, I'm sure, loved, but that's not all Lawler was capable of. And then Lawler, just again, I love these guys, Bob. Like that's why I write these articles. I wonder the Lawler obituary is probably not too far off. I'm afraid. Like he's had some health scares.
Oh, I hope you're wrong about that because
I am too.
I have a personal friendship with him,
I
and
want him to
it's
keep
like
making content.
there's the
It's so
thing.
good.
The thing about Jerry Lawler is this: if you really think about it, Memphis would run bi-weekly, weekly sometimes, right? Indiana and all these other, little states around there, Arkansas. Here's the thing: did anybody ever draw more?
No, I don't know how that's even like that is the greatest mystery in the history of like not a mystery. We know he has all of this ability, but like that is the greatest feat. You know what I mean? It's like when you find out like a business, like in these small towns, right? Like you'll find like some restaurant that has like 40 restaurants in some local area and it like outsells McDonald's unit by unit you know what I mean? Like one of these weird oddities where like something like In-N-Out Burger, it's like a regional chain, right? Turns out to be like also the best chain. Like has like the best numbers, the most profit. Lawler is in that category where it's like, yeah, he wasn't Hulk Hogan, but he was literally the best wrestler.
Yeah, but
If you step back and adjust the numbers, he like do that kind of like adjusted stats like in baseball, like or like you have to do sometimes like Negro League stats and stuff like that. He's the best. He might be the best wrestler.
But there's the thing: you go from the early '70s when he really cut his teeth to 1991, 1992 in that same spot, right?
Still able to have the Lawler match.
And well, it's more than that. He drew. When I went to Memphis in 1991, okay, my week in Memphis.
How can you keep them coming in for 20 years?
Yeah, think about that. When I went to Memphis, I'm driving around. I have this little speck of a Chevy that I rented that, I'm running around Memphis and learning where to go and all these places. I'm all by myself, and there's a billboard with his picture on it for some tire company or something. I open the paper, and there's him with an ad for, Joe's Flower Shop has the best flowers in town, says Jerry Lawler. At one point, he comes to pick me up at my hotel, right? Because we're going somewhere. So I was there for the week. I hear screaming like the Beatles had walked in. Right, the entire staff of the motel. Jerry Lawler's in the Quality Inn, wherever the hell I was staying, and he was it in that town. He was like a mini Elvis. He really was. I'm not saying this to be corny. I'm saying it because that's how it was. And we're talking 1991 here. The back end of what he was doing.
When you think about it geographically, Memphis was like in the right spot for being a big enough city that it had the college, but that's not like the big, like never had great football there and sometimes had good basketball, but not always. But like, there's no thing there. There's just him.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just big enough. Like in North Carolina, when we moved down there as kids, like Greensboro was still popping in like 88, 89, that era, like the WCW's last run in 89 of the true like Southern type territory that it was. Like there's no other sport in North Carolina had college sports and pro wrestling and NASCAR. Like Memphis had even less. And so Jerry was the star, I guess, could be the star of a little, just a big enough region that was big enough to not have a sports team, like a pro sports team. But he was also good enough that you would never get tired of him somehow.
Right. And
But
he
it was
would,
just
he
the
would,
hardest feat to do. Everybody wears out of territory or becomes like Dick the Bruiser. And also they also ceased being able to have the matches, but he kept going
oh,
and could keep doing it.
yeah. I mean, Lawler was shrewd too. He would turn heel on his own fans. He knew when to do it. He wasn't always the king to have, the good guy. He would turn on him and be a heel for a certain amount of time, and then somebody would attack him, and then they would switch back. And then have a guy like Bill Dundee
That's
be able to
a
work for 20
5'5"
years,
man
right?
with all the ability,
Absolutely.
a tiny man.
Yeah. But you know what? He was one of those guys like Taz and others that I know.
Yes. Just,
Once the bell rang and the action started, you forgot what the height was.
yeah, he was
Really did.
wide. He could work. He could talk. He's a very interesting specimen too. Like that guy is the epitome of the pro wrestler. Like you said, the Taz that you slot in, and he's big. Like he's just TV. Like somehow he's just TV big. Kevin Sullivan, another guy.
There's another one.
Slot him in. He could
Yeah,
do
but
any role.
Kevin Sullivan, you could just look at him and tell how strong he was, and those
Yeah,
legs
huge.
were
Yeah,
legendary.
best legs in the business.
Absolutely.
Could look any way too. Could be huge, could be could be super ripped, could be normal, like normal build, like could be able to change his gimmick, like just able to. That's another guy that had all the looks. He had every kind of look. Like he'd have the big belly and big muscles, or he could be really jacked. He could be in the varsity club, despite not being varsity. Like could be anything, and make it work. And I love that type of. I do love that type of performer. Like those are the guys that when you think back as a wrestling fan, that they're in so much of the television that you consume. Lawler, I mean, Lawler for me as a kid was in every one of the black and white magazines over and over and over again. My God, did he get coverage? Oh, he'd
Yeah,
be
he did.
like ranked in like 5 federations. Like you might have one AWA match. He'd be in those ranks. He'd be all over the magazine. He'd be in all of the match recaps that get sent in. He'd be in all of the things. He just and then like you said, he was in all of the ads regionally. He was everywhere. I mean, what a hustler.
No kidding. No kidding. Hard worker.
You
I mean,
know,
the way those guys drove around that region, I mean, it was not easy. That was not easy. Long drives. I I was in a car with Lawler, a couple other wrestlers, and some hangers-on, and we went I think we drove from Memphis to West Memphis, Arkansas or something. I can't remember, but it was a long drive through the Everglades, man, through the real Everglades. And I saw alligators and I saw big wheels in front of ramshackle houses, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I? Because I'm
how
from New
did they
York.
do it?
I'm like, what am I looking at here?
How did they do some of those circuits? It's crazy.
Imagine
But
breaking down in that area. Gosh.
Lawler also now he had the Dundies and he had good talent that he worked against, but he was also able to give a lot of guys their best storyline ever against him.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, people that had no relevance other than or just solid, might have just been okay workers. He could potentially keep them relevant for ages.
I thought his one flaw was reliance on monster characters, but
he did like monsters.
He did create Kamala.
Yeah, that's a great. I did that obituary. That's a great.
Yeah.
That's a great design. Like the art they did, like that he came up with, that Kamala began to do himself. But like, that's a great design.
But he was an artist.
Truly
and
a good
would
artist.
sketch out what he's looking for.
Truly could nail. I mean, Jason the Terrible. Those are all good looks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a kid, I thought those were cool. He seemed to understand what kids would like with a monster character. I don't think as a grown up, I wouldn't book any of that. I would be against it. But as a kid, I loved that crap. Somebody who's really tall, really fat. Like I loved Uncle Elmer, Plowboy Frazier. I loved that kind of character as a kid. Just put them in the ring.
I was just talking a couple shows ago about the Hillbillies.
That's a great.
They started with Hillbilly Jim, and then here goes Uncle Elmer, and here comes Cousin Luke and Cousin Slim. I can't remember the other name.
Even Vince McMahon understood the appeal of the hillbilly. I love that.
It worked.
I
It
loved it.
works.
I loved the
I
hillbilly
remember be
wedding.
I remember being at, Nassau Coliseum, and I think 2 of the hillbillies took on Stud and Bundy, and Stud and Bundy won, and the fans were like, "Oh, I'm so upset
Yeah,
they lost."
I love the hillbilly characters.
We rank out on the kids' characters that the WWF came up with, but I heard I said this in a show a couple weeks ago. I'm in Madison Square Garden. I'm in the men's room. There's a father with a young boy in a stall, and I hear the kid go, "Oh, I hope the Red Rooster is gonna be on the show. I wanna see the Red Rooster." Now, everybody wrestling lambasts that whole gimmick,
I liked it as a kid.
but the 8-year-old
He strutted in
wanted
the
to
ring.
see wanted to see him.
I like the Blue
Whoop,
Blazer too. They feuded. I like that feud.
the Blue
It's
Blazer.
cool. Yeah, I like both of those looks. The Blue Blazer wore a mask because how I love I love Terry Taylor with the I didn't know Terry Taylor before that. I was 7, so I didn't know Terry Taylor before, but I went back and enjoyed his Mid-South work after that. He's a good worker, but there's a guy just like Skinner, right? You just slap some kind of new thing on him and makes it work.
But, even though that was the Hogan era, when older fans who were kid Hulkamaniacs look back, I never hear them mention any of that stuff, just Hogan. I never hear them say, "Oh, I used to love,
I did.
Matilda the Bulldog with the
I
British
did.
Bulldogs," and all
I
that
loved
stuff.
all that crap.
You loved them you loved all
I
those
did love
characters.
all that stuff, yeah, because because Hogan was only on or on the Saturday stuff, Hogan might not be on at all, or he might just have like a promo, but all this other stuff was on forever. And so, like, when they would bring back in, like, Buddy Rose to do the blowaway diet, that I wrote a whole article about that ages ago. I thought that was the best stupid gimmick. Like, that was Vince McMahon's comedy at a level that I found very funny then and now. And Buddy Rose was a performer who could make really stupid stuff work and still do one-armed push-ups as a big fat guy and wrestle Tito Santana in good matches on Saturday. And they had chemistry. I mean, they had chemistry at WrestleMania 1. They had chemistry when he came back big and fat. Like, it didn't matter. I loved I honestly liked all that stuff more than Hulkamania. So, like, when the WrestleMania 4 rolled around, the tournament thing, and I was probably the only kid that was not rooting for Hogan or Savage or DiBiase or against them. I was like, let's get One Man Gang in there, Bam Bam Bigelow. That's what I want for world champ. Let's have something crazy happen. I was probably the only one that thought that was cool and like that could be anybody could win. Butch Reed, I liked all that junk. I loved so Vince was really booking characters for me as a kid, and I liked all of that stuff. Bam Bam Bigelow does a cartwheel. I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I fondly remember, I fondly remember like undercards of the WrestleManias, like WrestleMania 3, Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes. That's a match for me. Two meathead guys. I love it.
You are the first person I've talked to who liked the gimmicks. Seriously.
He couldn't have made them fast enough at that age.
But I didn't stop to think of the marketing genius behind all of that.
Yeah.
They weren't booking for me. They were booking for little Oliver.
Yeah, especially for me. Like, and if it was either a really fat guy or a really like big steroid guy and they put them in some weird outfit, I was just like sold. I was like, yeah, that's great. Kerry Von Erich comes in as a Texas tornado on one leg, spinning around in the ring. Wow, look at that guy. He's so muscular. He's juiced. Even at like 8 years old, my dad loved that stuff too. Like, because it was just so strange, right? It was just very strange. And then when I got to watching, the Superstation stuff at 605, the WCW stuff, and I like that style, but I still, even when I was 13 and 14 and the business was down, I still liked the stupid stuff, and I still liked when like somebody like Barry Horowitz have a little run. Something weird would happen, right? Or they'd have a little like a jobber would start winning a match or something, or like the 1-2-3 kid. I love that. I have always loved the undercards. I always loved the way Vince booked the undercard. I don't know why. I know that's stupid and then like people dislike, but I just like the random renamings and packagings and like I loved Austin Theory. I wrote a ringer piece on why I thought Austin Theory. Jim Cornette liked him too. I thought Austin Theory was going to be the next big thing. I thought he could work. He looked great. He had he had an interesting way of speaking in the ring. I hope he still has a future in the business. I know he's hurt now and maybe off
Oh,
the roster, but like I loved whatever taste Vince McMahon had in wrestling. I guess I had a lot of the same. Love that guy. Love Grayson
Grace
Waller.
Waller?
Yeah, he's gotten in really good shape recently. Love him. Love Ludwig Kaiser. He can really talk. Looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are all like custom made for all of those guys that have been like hanging on since the Vince era. They're all like custom made for me. Like that whole, Sheamus Rusev, the match is like custom made for me. That should be the main event though. I'd put that on in the main and I'd move this other stuff down. Or, you know, I, whatever taste Vince had, maybe he got it wrong on LA Knight because he was old, but like for the most part, I liked those matches. I liked Omos, the Giant, right? Like I character 7'5". That's interesting to see in person. I like Bobby Lashley. I
Yep.
still want him to get the AEW World Championship. He won't. He's too old, but like he has the tag belts, but like he still looks like $1,000,000. I like Shelton Benjamin and how Vince kept using him constantly. I don't know why, Bob. I just did,
Boy.
and you like it, but yeah, I mean that stuff was custom made for me. I like Bastion Booger, right? So Mike Shaw, I like to me as a kid to see that get up on a grown man. That's so funny.
It was
He's a big fat
gross.
guy in a really weird skin
Yeah.
tight outfit, or the Mantar, right? Like here's a big fat guy with a bullhead.
Bullhead. Yeah.
Yeah, why is that? Why not? Did Duke Drosy, why he's got a dump? I think he's fallen on some hard times, but like, he's a huge guy. I just love these things. Isaac Yankum, love it. I mean, Vince was just booking junk that I would enjoy seeing in the ring.
Now, speaking of enjoying stuff, before I let you go,
Yeah.
did you see SummerSlam? What you think of it?
Oh, I really, when I'm watching a card like that, I pick and choose the matches I linger on. So I like the matches that I bothered to watch. I like Jacob Fatu, but I don't like Solo Sokoa. I don't think he's got the chops. I hate the rest of the bloodline. I wish Jacob Fatu could just wrestle LA Knight over and over again. They had good chemistry. That's a good match. Or Braun Breaker. I like the Braun Breaker match. I like that. That was great. Braun can really work. Roman Reigns is great to watch. He can really work. I like Gunter CM Punk. I thought that was a good match. I like the Cody John Cena finale because The Rock wasn't there. I'm not a big fan. Oddly enough, I'm not a big, like, The Rock has just never done it for me. Stone Cold never did it for me. I was a Bret Hart guy. I like Bret. I like Shawn Michaels during that era too.
I really liked the wisecracking good guy Rock. I didn't care for the heel Rock. I still don't. I just think it's kind of forced. It doesn't seem natural
Never
to
been
me.
a good heel. They'll keep turning him face because he does joke. He's like an anti-hero, but he's not a bad guy. It doesn't make any sense. His daughter is not very good in her role in NXT either, despite her height. Maybe she'll grow into it in the decade when she's still working there. Like Stephanie grew into the role. I don't think she's as much of a natural as Stephanie was. I like Cody, and I think John Cena worked a very good long match for John Cena. I thought he did a good job for what he had to do.
I thought that match was okay, but after all the tumult of that card on Sunday, the Sunday
Yeah.
leg, with all the broken tables and flying around,
Very weird.
and
I wouldn't put all the I don't think Vince would have put all the stipulation matches on the same.
all
Why are there so many
stipulation
street
matches.
fights?
Yeah,
Some
why?
of those guys
Why?
could have worked a perfectly normal match. Like, why did Becky and Lyra need to have?
How about Cena? How about Cena and Cody too? That didn't need to be a street
No,
fight.
they would have worked. I would have liked to have seen 40 minutes of a real match because they didn't do a ton of. They did some Slim Jim table stuff, but they could have worked a 30-minute real match. The bulk of that match is them taking each other's finishers over and over. So you could have done that in a normal match. I think the stakes would have been higher because they would have been getting counted out and stuff. Is Cena gonna just walk away and not give Cody the win?
Well, I was just begging for any rule to be enforced by the end of that second night. There were no
So
rules
weird. Why would
enforced
you
at
have a
all.
rule of? Why would you have a rule of? Why would you have a day of stip matches? So weird. You don't need. You should have probably one or two no stipulation matches per big card, unless it's like the Hell in the Cell, or the Elimination Chamber. Where the thing is the main thing, but everything else should not be that.
Yeah, it's like if you had blood in 4 or 6 matches, it's 3 too many.
Yeah.
Anything is overkill. Anything repeated is overkill. And I thought they made a big error on the second night, but that's just my opinion.
I thought that was weak booking. It's kind of like how I like the AEW pay-per-views. Usually they're really long, but like you get a lot of wrestling. But I do feel like they kill the matches do so much of the same stuff that it kills you by the end.
Yeah, it's even if there are many wrestlers in AEW who are athletically brilliant. There's no question about that.
Tons. Very.
But when you see everybody shoot their wad for 5 straight matches,
For 6 hours.
you're begging for a side headlock.
Yeah. I mean, if you're booking like, okay, it's going to be Ricochet and Osprey, and then we're going to have Swerve and Page, and then we're going to have Kenny and Okada. Well, no, we'll make it even crazier. We'll have Fletcher and Kenny, and it'll just be all the guys that can do all the athletic. And then we'll have the Bucks do the Bucks match over and over again. And yeah, you are like, I want Jeff. That's why I think maybe that's why I've come to like Jeff Jarrett and Dustin Rhodes so much in the last couple of years. It's because they would come in and break up those types of matches. And Jeff Jarrett would work a slow match and it'd be very methodical. And Dustin can do some athletic moves, but he also works a slow match. And all of this guy, that's probably why I like Brian Cage there and why I like Bobby Lashley there. Like, you need to work those guys in more. Also give big guys some wins over there. They never win.
That's a good point.
It's all
You're
muscle
right, they never do.
jobbers. There's
Yeah.
no company where also that's so crazy to me. Like, I think Brian Cage is a good athlete. He was the guy that taught LA Knight how to work out or vice versa, one or the other, I guess, work out, so to speak. But like they are both really good athletes. But like, why would you have Brian Cage, a man that looks like him, consistently lose matches? Vince McMahon would laugh you out of the building for that. You bring in this huge Lance Archer who can really work, and you just know he's going to job. I mean, Bobby Lashley has the tag titles, but he's basically a muscle jobber. Like all of these guys come out and they job. And like, what company as a kid? No little kid will watch that and think that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Well, here's the largest man out tonight. He's going to lose in 3 seconds. But the Young Bucks are going to beat these 2 300-pound men in no time flat. And that's okay. Like that can happen. I just feel like when smaller guys win, they should win through the storyline where they do something sneaky or they do something really tactical that's smart and they win. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I think. And AEW has the chance to do that. And they, like you said, they have all these great athletes on the roster, but Tony just likes the same type of match. Loves that type of match.
Yep. You need variety. You really do.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you know what else is good variety? It's The Ringer, folks. And
Go there. Read it.
Go there. There is no better wrestling area. There are many wrestling websites. Most of them let me down, to be honest with you, because they're clickbait circuses.
Yeah. They've
However,
really gotten ad heavy.
if you want the opposite of that, go to The Ringer. Again, it's a section amongst this amazing website. They even cover MLB, all different kinds
I
of
think
things.
they're
You will be
NBA
shocked when you see what they
NBA and TV coverage too. Like if you like NBA, I'm not the biggest fan anymore, but like if you like NBA and you watch the TV shows or movies, they have the best TV show and movie long articles of all. Like if you need something on like The Bear or It's Always Sunny or any one of the shows you might be watching, somebody there is writing a piece, or Better Call Saul, somebody there is writing a piece on that stuff. And it'll be like a rewarding piece when you get to it. It's like 3,000 words. Like you said, it's like real writing that they're able to put out. And it's not clickbaity. Like it's not like they just overwhelm you with stuff. You could read.
Not hardly. No, it's not. Well, can I ask you a stupid question?
Yeah.
How do you all make money?
Spotify deal. Spotify deal on the podcast and the partnerships.
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of like a handshake agreement, and then one promotes the other, and there you go.
The writing, to be honest, is just that's Simmons from the Grantland days wanting to subsidize. I think it's smart marketing, like the long writing that we do, and like the obituaries, for example, are definitely a loss leader. They're very expensive for them to do with us because they're so long. Or any long pieces they do are going to be loss leaders. But Bill Simmons has been dedicated since Grantland to getting the writing out front. And here he lets the other stuff subsidize the good writing that he still values and wants to have done. Like when any site's doing good writing, it's because some editor or publisher is forcing them to. Like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
kudos
Yeah.
to Bill Simmons, and he's also one of the more interesting podcasters that still goes around because he's always been doing the same thing. He
Mhm.
always has the NBA trade talk and the other stuff he does, but I mean, I don't know why. He's wanted to keep premium prestige writing in sports going, and he's kept it going for, I mean, Grantland's like 2011, 2010, 2009, maybe even earlier, for like 20 years almost. He's been underwriting this stuff, and they pay writers really well. I mean, I've been lucky to be a part of it since 2017.
That's awesome. You know, good,
Good for
solid
them.
good, solid, journalistic, non-SEO, facts, figures, and prose. It's a tremendous website. You gotta check out The Ringer, guys. There's nothing else like it. I give it my 1000% seal of approval, and I never
Totally.
do that. So
Totally.
it's the best. You're the best. You guys are the best. I mean, you're different. I'm not putting you in a class with Wrestling Observer. That's strictly wrestling.
And that's also a very unique
Yes,
thing. That's a really
it's
unique,
niche.
and he's
But
been doing it for so long.
you guys to be as all encompassing as you are and have that level of quality, hats off to all of you. I mean, that's tremendous.
Yeah, if you wanna if you are a wrestling fan who also likes TV shows and other things, you just want something occasional, something like The Observer is where you get your news every day, your breaking news every day, but, like, Ringer is where you can get a piece you can read on the weekend.
I love stuff that's different. Like my co-host is named Joe Puccio, and he has a website called Generation X Wire.
Huh?
He writes about entertainment, but it's not what's out now. He goes back in time and
Gen
he'll
X
do an
stuff?
interview. And he'll do an interview with the
Good.
cast of What's Happening, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Who's doing that? Answer: nobody. So that's why I like his website so much because he is an old newspaper guy and an old writer, and it's good. You know, it's like that's what I'm looking for. Give me something with a little depth to it, a little bit of uniqueness, shall we say?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what
this
the
is
Ringer is.
this I mean, and this podcast does the same thing, so I hope people, they listen through to all these, enjoy them because 'cause they're just great conversations with all kinds of different people.
Well, thank you for that. And by the way, the name of the book again is A Decided Novelty: The Essential Guide to Black Pro Wrestling History, 1880 to 1950. The writer is Ian Douglas. The editor is the gentleman I'm speaking to, Oliver Bateman. Thanks, man. It's
600
always good to
pages,
see you.
pick that thing up, 600 pages.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's hefty.
we like to pull that off independently is just nuts. That is a crowning piece. I am so glad it's out there, man. People should pick it up. It is an awesome book.
That's going to be a perennial
It is
because
awesome.
you offered fans and historians information that I don't think anybody has even considered seeking.
No,
Which
didn't
is
exist.
another topic in and of itself, but the
And The
fact that
Ringer published a chapter from it. The Ringer, Cal Davenport, who was there, wanted to run the chapter from Ian's book on Clarence Bolden. Recently, Ian said that Clarence Bolden's family reached out to him and was so happy to learn that their relative is getting recognition as the first Black world champion or a potential first Black world champion. What an accomplishment. It's like when I did the New Jack obituary, Bob, and his wife, when he died, reached out and was like, "So thank you so much for finding New Jack's college football records." New Jack played college football, and Ian and I hunted that down.
yeah, who would know that? That's right.
But like when the family reaches out for a thing like that, what a great thing.
One of my great moments at PWI. This is going to sound funny. That's one of my most enjoyable things that ever happened to me. First of all, I got to interview Joe McHugh, the old WWE ring announcer, on an edition of Marissa Voldi's show. Now, go ahead and laugh, but he had never been interviewed on television before.
No, well, no, I would guess not.
Yeah, right? So I got to spend 5 minutes with him and do the short interview. It was great. I also took pictures of him at that card. When he died several months later, it was just a few months after that, I was contacted by his family and was able to provide photographs for his funeral.
Wow.
So the fact that I had a first with him and then I was able to, they asked, could we buy some photos? I said, you're not buying anything. We're going to send these photos to you. Just enjoy them and do whatever you need to with them and with all of our warmest regards. Cause that was the voice of my childhood, dude. You know?
Yeah. Cause it would have been, that was your regional wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, I've interviewed many of the greats, but none of them meant more to me than Joe McHugh. I'm telling you. No, I'm serious.
But it is these odd
I know what this is like. This is like saying, Sure, I was on a boat with George Clooney and his wife, but, my favorite celebrity is Larry Bud Melman. It's the same, for the old Letterman show, it's the same, "What's wrong with you?" type of vibe, but I don't care because, like I say, everybody loves who they love for whatever reason, and that was the voice of my Sunday mornings for, like, 8 years, so as I grew up.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool to be in a business where you get to do that. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, a real highlight for me. Another highlight is getting to know you and Ian, and again, this is Oliver Bateman. Thanks for being here
Yeah.
again. Come back
Thanks,
soon, will
Bob.
you? Will you come back soon?
Yeah, definitely. I love being on the show. We talk like all the current wrestling that I'm still watching, and like you're still watching some of it, and it's fun.
Oh, yeah, I have to keep it's in my soul, I can't not look at it, Even if I don't like it, I watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just it's part of my, makeup. All the years when I was out of wrestling, I continued to watch it religiously. I never stopped.
Always, always. Yeah, I
It's
always.
what you do. So, as I try to make a dime on this thing, we'll sign off. Thanks, Oliver.
Thanks, Bob. Pleasure.
Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with the elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today. Well, that was a big, long one, so we're not going to waste a lot of your time here. OutdatedWrestlingHour.buzzsprout.com. Find all our episodes, find out about our fan club. For a nominal fee, you can help perpetuate the existence of both this and the Outdated Entertainment Hour. Write to us, outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Find me on Facebook. I'm the only Bob Smith singing with BB King right on the lead page. I'm also at most other social media apps as outdated_Bob. That's not 3 words. That's an underscore. Maybe I should mention that because I'm not getting a lot of action on some of those other sites. So, most of them outdated_Bob. I also stuck with X for reasons I can't wait to figure out. We've got another show next week. We've got Mike Leotis coming back, and we're going to talk about the AWA, the American Wrestling Association. Well, we're just going to look back at some of our fond memories from Vern Gagne and the crew. Come back. See us again. We really want you around. We really appreciate your listening every episode. My name is Bob Smith. You might remember me from Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. For myself and Joe Puccio, we thank you very much. And we will see you next time. In the words of Ringo Starr, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Peace and love.